The crystal towers of Lurea shimmered under the pale light of two suns. Princess Alira stood quietly near the edge of the royal balcony, her heart heavy and her eyes distant. Below her, the grand city spread like silver threads, shining and beautiful, but she felt none of its peace. Every voice, every whisper she heard in the palace halls spoke of the same thing: her marriage. Not out of love, not out of choice, but for the sake of a political deal her father had made. The royal court was filled with alien nobles from every house. Their robes sparkled with gold and gems, but Alira felt only emptiness as she stood in front of them. Her father, King Dareth, sat upon his throne, a tall figure in deep blue armor that reflected the light. His voice echoed across the hall as he addressed the gathered nobles. "For the peace of our people," he declared, "Princess Alira of Lurea shall be joined in union with the representative of the Earth Alliance. The marriage will mark the beginning of trade, protection, and peace between our worlds." The crowd clapped politely, but Alira's hands remained still. Her father had just sold her future to a stranger from another planet. She wanted to speak, to protest, to tell him she was not a tool for peace, but she saw no mercy in his eyes. Only the determination of a ruler who had already decided what must be done. When the ceremony ended, she turned and walked silently back to her chambers. The corridors were long and cold, and the echoes of her own footsteps sounded lonely. She paused before her mother's portrait, a soft memory in paint. Her mother had once told her that love was something sacred, that one should never be forced to give it. Alira felt tears rise, but she quickly wiped them away. The daughter of a king must never cry where others could see. That evening, the Earth delegation arrived. The sound of engines filled the sky as a sleek human ship descended into the courtyard. Alira watched from her balcony as soldiers in dark gray uniforms stepped out. They were taller and more solid than her people. They walked with quiet confidence, not arrogance. And among them was the one who would become her husband, Commander Ethan Hale. He wore no crown, no jewels, only a simple dark uniform. His eyes were a shade of blue that reminded her of calm oceans she had only seen in pictures of Earth. When he looked up at her balcony, his gaze didn't hold the cold curiosity of other diplomats. It was calm, human, and strangely gentle. Later in the Great Hall, they met officially for the first time. Alira stood tall, trying to hide the storm inside her. Ethan stepped forward and bowed slightly, the gesture respectful but not submissive. His voice was steady when he spoke. "Princess Alira," he said, "I come here not to claim, but to honor the peace your people offer. I hope I can prove worthy of your trust." Alira's heart fluttered unexpectedly. His tone wasn't demanding. It wasn't what she had feared, but she had been raised to guard herself, so she simply nodded. "We shall see, Commander," she replied softly. The official bonding ceremony was conducted by the High Cleric. It was a quiet affair with witnesses from both worlds. A golden thread was placed in their hands, a symbol of unity between species. The thread glowed softly when their hands touched. Alira felt warmth spread across her skin, but she quickly looked away. Her heart was confused, and she didn't want to believe in hope yet. When the ceremony ended, the hall erupted in applause. Ethan stood beside her, still and composed. She could feel the weight of hundreds of eyes watching them, expecting smiles and happiness, but all she felt was trapped. A royal ornament traded for peace. That night, her room felt colder than usual. She sat near the window, watching the twin moons rise over Lurea's horizon. She wanted to believe that things could change, that maybe her life would not be just duty and obedience, but her heart whispered that love could never grow in a cage. A soft knock came at the door. "Enter," she said, her voice low. It was Ethan. He stepped inside slowly, stopping near the entrance. He didn't wear his ceremonial jacket now, only a plain undershirt that made him seem less like a soldier and more like a person. His expression was calm, but there was something uncertain in his eyes. "I came to speak," he said. "If this is not the right time, I can leave." Alira looked at him for a moment, trying to read his intentions. "What do you wish to say?" He took a breath. "I know this isn't what you wanted. You didn't choose this marriage. I didn't either, not like this. I was sent here as part of a treaty. But I need you to know something. I will not hurt you. I will not claim what isn't freely given." Alira froze. She had expected arrogance or entitlement, but not this. His words carried a quiet sincerity that softened her defenses. She looked away, her voice barely above a whisper. Why would you care? You have nothing to gain from kindness. Ethan smiled faintly. Maybe not, but I was raised to treat others as equals, not prizes. I'm not here to own you, princess. I'm here to understand. There was silence between them. The air felt heavy yet not uncomfortable. She finally asked, "Do all humans think like you?" He chuckled softly. "No, many are far worse. But I've seen enough pain to know that power doesn't make peace. People do." Alira didn't reply. But when he turned to leave, she said quietly, "Thank you." It was a small word, but it carried more meaning than any royal speech she'd ever given. Over the next few days, the palace changed. Humans and Lurians worked together, preparing for the final peace celebration. Ethan often met with her father's council to discuss trade routes and defense treaties. He always listened carefully, asking questions with curiosity instead of pride. The nobles found it strange, this human commander who showed patience instead of aggression. Alira began to notice more about him. He treated every servant with respect. He smiled when children bowed and told them not to. He spoke with calm intelligence, not the loud tone of a conqueror. And sometimes, when their eyes met across a room, she felt warmth inside her that frightened her more than hatred ever could. One afternoon, she found him in the royal garden, examining a Lurian crystal bloom that shimmered like liquid light. "These flowers only open in calm air," she told him. "They close when storms come." He turned to her. "Then you must protect them often. Peace never lasts long without care." She nodded, surprised again by his thoughtfulness. "You speak like a philosopher, not a soldier." "Soldiers who survive long enough become philosophers," he said with a small smile. "We learn what truly matters after the fighting stops." They talked for a long time that day, about Earth's oceans and rain, about the music of her people and the way Lurea's twin moons aligned once every year. Alira found herself laughing, a small, genuine laugh that startled her. She hadn't laughed since childhood. But peace in the palace was fragile. Some Lurian nobles despised the idea of unity with humans. They believed humans were savages who hid behind false manners. One night while Alira walked past the council chambers, she overheard voices behind the doors. Lord Renar, her father's closest advisor, was speaking. "The humans are not allies, they are invaders. The king has blinded himself with promises. If we remove the human commander, the treaty dies and we can rule without Earth's shadow." Alira's heart pounded. They were planning to assassinate Ethan. She didn't think twice. She ran through the corridors, her feet echoing against the cold stone floors. Guards stared as she rushed past, but no one stopped her. When she reached Ethan's quarters, she burst through the door. "Commander!" "You must leave," she cried. He stood instantly alert. "What's wrong?" "They plan to kill you. Renar and his men. They'll strike tonight." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You're certain?" "Yes," she said, her voice trembling. "They'll make it look like rebels attacked you." He didn't waste time asking why she cared. He grabbed a small bag, checked his weapon, and moved toward the exit. "We have to get you somewhere safe, too." She shook her head. "They won't harm me. It's you they want." He looked at her sharply. "I'm not leaving you behind, princess." Before she could argue, blaster fire rang out. The door exploded and guards in black armor rushed in. Ethan pulled her behind him, firing a warning shot that made the attackers scatter. He grabbed her hand and ran, pulling her through a side passage that led down into the older tunnels beneath the palace. The tunnels were dark and silent. Dust fell from the ceiling as distant explosions shook the ground. They finally stopped in a narrow corridor, breathing hard. "You saved me," Ethan said softly, looking at her. "You didn't have to." Alira met his eyes. "I couldn't let them take another life for politics." There was a quiet pause. Their faces were close in the dim light. For the first time, she saw fear and strength mixed in his eyes, the kind of courage that comes not from power but from care. She whispered, "I don't understand you, human." He smiled faintly. "You don't need to. Just know I'll keep you safe, whatever happens." Her heart pounded not from running, but from something deeper, something she had never felt before. They stayed hidden as the sounds of chaos faded above. The Alliance was in danger. The palace had turned into a battlefield of whispers and betrayal, and Alira knew everything was about to change. But as she looked into his calm, steady eyes, one truth began to form inside her heart. He was not her captor. He was her protector, and maybe, just maybe, The peace her father had bought with politics could turn into something real, something born not from duty, but from understanding. The night outside grew silent again. The twin moons rose high, casting soft silver light into the tunnels beneath the palace smelled of dust and cold stone. Alira and Ethan crouched behind a fallen beam, listening to the faint echoes of guards searching above. Every footstep, every clink of armor made Alira's heart pound. She had never imagined that her marriage could turn into a fight for survival in less than 24 hours. Ethan checked his weapon again. "We can't stay here," he said softly. "Renar will have every corridor blocked soon. We need to reach the lower gates and get off the palace grounds." Alira nodded, trying to steady her nerves. She had never held a weapon before, but she now wished she had learned. "Lead the way," she whispered. They moved carefully through the labyrinthine passages, the soft glow from Lurian crystals guiding them. Outside, the palace was alive with chaos. Explosions and alarms rang through the city as the guards loyal to Renar moved against those who had supported the alliance. Luria's twin moons reflected off the crystal towers, making the city look like a battlefield of light. Ethan paused in a shadowed alcove. "We'll have to go through the servants' exit. It's small, narrow, and most soldiers won't think to check it." Alira's stomach tightened. The path was treacherous, but she trusted him. There was something about his calm determination, the way he moved like he had done this before, that made her feel safe. As they approached the exit, a group of Renar's men appeared from a side corridor. Alira froze. Her eyes widened as she realized they were completely outnumbered. Ethan put a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. "Stay behind me," he said. His voice was quiet, but there was no fear in it, only certainty. The men advanced, weapons raised. Ethan moved with precision, disarming one before he could fire. Another tried to strike him from behind, but Ethan's reflexes were faster. Within moments, the path was clear, though several attackers lay unconscious around them. Alira watched, a mixture of fear and awe flooding her. She had never seen a human fight like this. He was not reckless. Every movement had purpose, every strike was calculated. Her heart, which had been heavy with sorrow, now beat with admiration and something warmer, something she refused to name. They finally reached the narrow servants' exit. Beyond it, the night air of Lurea's city streets rushed in, carrying the scent of smoke and stone. Alira inhaled deeply, letting the cold air fill her lungs. For the first time since she had been told of her marriage, she felt a spark of hope. But the city was not safe. Renar's loyalists were everywhere. Ethan scanned the streets, then whispered, "We need to get to the safe house near the northern docks. There, the human emissaries have a shuttle waiting." Alira nodded, gripping his hand tightly. For the first time, she did not feel like a prisoner. She felt like an ally, and perhaps something more. As they ran through the streets, a shadow moved ahead. Renar himself stepped into their path, his face twisted with fury. "You cannot escape, Princess," he hissed. "And you, human, will regret interfering in Lurea's destiny." Ethan did not flinch. "Your tyranny ends tonight, Renar. Release the princess or face the consequences." Renar laughed cruelly. "Consequences? You are alone, human. Your kind is far from home, and here, we are the law." Alira's heart sank. But then she noticed something in Ethan's eyes, a calm resolve that made her chest tighten. He didn't hesitate. In one swift motion, he disarmed Renar, moving between him and her like a shield. Alira's breath caught as she realized that he was willing to risk everything for her, not as a ruler's duty, but because he chose to. "Princess, stay behind me," Ethan commanded. "No one harms you while I am here." Renar lunged forward, but Ethan's reflexes were faster. With precision, he knocked Renar to the ground, holding his weapon steady. The fight was brief but decisive. The remaining guards, seeing their leader defeated, fled into the night. Alira approached Ethan slowly. Her hands shook as she reached out. You saved me," she whispered. He looked at her, still tense, but there was a softness now, "And I will continue to do so. If you allow me." Tears pricked her eyes. She had spent so long believing her life was nothing more than a tool for politics, a symbol for peace. But here, in the shadow of betrayal, she realized that someone cared. Not for her title, but for her. Together they ran to the northern docks. The streets were empty now, save for the occasional patrol. Ethan moved with caution, checking every corner, guiding her with steady hands and calm words. At the docks, a human shuttle waited, engines humming softly. Alira could see the other human emissaries inside, ready to evacuate them from the city. She turned to Ethan, her heart pounding. "We made it," she breathed. He nodded, but his expression remained watchful. "Not yet. We must board and leave Lurea before Renar recovers." As they climbed aboard, Alira felt a mixture of relief and amazement. She was leaving her home, her people, and the life she had known, but for the first time she felt alive. Ethan closed the shuttle hatch behind them, and the engines lifted them into the night sky. During the flight, the city lights of Lurea faded below. Alira leaned against the wall, watching the tower shrink into the distance. Ethan sat beside her, quiet but present. She stole glances at him, noticing the way his jaw set, the calm strength in his eyes and the subtle warmth that seemed to radiate from him. "You saved more than my life tonight," she admitted softly. You saved hope." He turned to her, meeting her gaze. "Hope is never gone, Princess. Sometimes it just needs someone to protect it." Her heart ached in a way she could not explain. For the first time in her life, she felt seen, not as a princess, not as a political pawn, but as herself. And in that moment, looking into Ethan's eyes, she realized something terrifying and wonderful. She trusted him, more than she had ever trusted anyone. Over the next few days, the shuttle took them to a secure human base orbiting a nearby moon. Here, Alira saw the humans' way of life, simple, disciplined, yet filled with warmth and cooperation. She had expected them to be cold or alien in ways she could not understand, but instead, she found a community that thrived on courage, honesty, and loyalty. Ethan introduced her to the other members of his crew. They were kind, welcoming, and respectful. No one asked her to perform a role she did not choose. No one treated her as property, and all the while Ethan remained close, offering quiet guidance and conversation, never forcing anything, always attentive. One evening, as they watched the moons of the orbiting planet reflect in the shuttle's viewing window, Alira spoke. "I never thought I would feel safe again. Not after my father's decision." Ethan's hand found hers. "Safety is something we create, not something given. You create it when you take control, when you choose to trust." Alira felt warmth flood her chest. She looked into his eyes, searching for answers, for reassurance. Instead, she found something else, something deeper than trust, something she had never let herself feel before. I don't know how to say this," she admitted, voice trembling. "But I feel something for you. I didn't expect it. I didn't want it. And yet," Ethan squeezed her hand gently, "you don't need words, Princess. Just feeling it is enough." The shuttle lights dimmed as they sat together, the vastness of space surrounding them. For the first time, Alira allowed herself to hope, not just for survival but for love. Not the kind dictated by politics or arranged for peace, but the kind born from respect, courage, and the choice to care for another being. In the days that followed, news came from Lurea. Renar had been captured by loyalists, and the alliance with the humans was solidified. Alira's father, though still stern and reserved, acknowledged her courage in helping Ethan survive. He realized that his daughter had found her own strength, and with it, a bond that went beyond politics. Alira spent more time with Ethan, learning about Earth, about human traditions, and sharing the wonders of Lurea with him. They laughed together, trained together, and planned for the rebuilding of her world with care and fairness. She taught him the crystal arts of her people, and he taught her strategies of leadership and survival. Together they became not just allies but partners in every sense. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the shuttle base, Alira looked at Ethan. Her heart was full, her fear replaced by courage. "You saved me," she said softly. "Not just my life, but everything I thought I would never have." Ethan smiled, his blue eyes reflecting the moons. "And you saved me too, Princess. You showed me what trust and courage really mean." For the first time, Alira let herself rest her head against his shoulder. She felt safe, cherished, and free. The pain of being sold into marriage had not disappeared, but it had transformed. What had begun as betrayal had become something stronger, love chosen freely, built on respect, courage, and understanding. And as they gazed together at the stars beyond the windows, Alira knew one truth she had never believed before. The human she had once feared, the one who had entered her life as a stranger, was now the center of her world. Her heart, once broken, had found its rhythm again, not through politics, duty, or obligation, but through the eyes of a human who had seen her for who she truly was and chosen to stand by her, no matter the cost. For the first time in her life, Princess Alira was free. Free to love, free to hope, free to be herself. And in that freedom, she found the courage to face whatever the universe might throw at her next, with Ethan at her side. Together, they would not just survive, they would thrive.